Most of what challenges us when we are trying to lose weight isn't lack of conscious knowledge. We know how to lose weight. If it were only that simple. The key to successful weight release depends on making permanent shifts in our habits and beliefs, which are more resistant to change because they exist in our subconscious. In this episode, I dive into our subconscious and look at how hypnosis can be a great tool to help us manage and change those deeper barriers to success. I will also give you a few self-hypnosis tricks to start doing this for yourself. So stay tuned as we go deeper and deeper and even deeper. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the thin thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Okay, I looked at my calendar yesterday and I swear I thought it was the end of July. And then I realized we were almost to the end of August. That was a shock. Hello, everybody. It's been a crazy summer. Can I just say that? I mean, I call it the summer of things falling apart and getting fixed, because it seems like everything in my life has broken down this summer. My dishwasher broke. 3 of the softwares, not 1, not 2, but 3 of the softwares that I use for my business had issues, big issues. And some of the old ways that I'd gotten used to in my business had to change because we are growing, which is exciting. But, you hear about growing pains. Well, it's been painful. And change is hard, right? Our subconscious mind doesn't like change, and it always wants to go back. And we have this new project management system for my team, which is, again, it's awesome. It's wonderful. It's way cool. But I still want to go back to the old, broken down, old-fashioned, way more lugubrious and inefficient way of doing things. I just want to. It makes me want to cry like a baby, wah, wah, wah. Like, I want the old way. But we are moving forward. And I know that is how we feel when we want to lose weight. We want to change, but man, it feels hard making those changes, right? I mean, we resist. Oh, even though we know what we want, there's a part of us that just wants to put on the brakes and go back. I've been having to do a lot of self-hypnosis around a lot of the changes that have been going on. I'm telling you, hypnosis has been my best friend for, a good part of the last 30 years of my life. And now that my son is learning to drive, I'm really working on some stress management hypnosis. But I have been getting emails from a lot of you asking how hypnosis works for weight loss. And this week seemed like the perfect time to dive into how the subconscious works and how hypnosis can help us with making shifts in the subconscious mind that seems resistant to weight loss. And also, I thought I would give you some self-hypnosis tips for releasing weight. And just FYI, If you have not taken advantage of this, today's session is brought to you by my free Shift Out of Sugar Cravings hypnosis session. So definitely grab that if you haven't yet. It's a great session, and it's a great introduction to hypnosis if you are new to the idea of hypnosis. So to begin today, before we even talk about weight loss and hypnosis, I just want to walk you through a little bit about hypnosis itself and, dispel some myths. When I started my practice 20 years ago, I would get, it was a lot harder to get clients than it is now. Now hypnosis is a little more hip and cool. Meditation has certainly come, like back in 20 years ago, people weren't meditating. It wasn't the cool thing to do. Movie stars weren't doing it, and there weren't apps about it. There weren't apps at all, 20 years ago, if you can believe it. It seems kind of crazy, but a lot has changed in those 20 years that I've been in practice. I think I joked, if you've listened to other podcasts of mine, when I started practicing, it was cassette tapes. In fact, I had a client who came in and saw me. It was so great to see her. She came and saw me at the beginning of my practice, and she said, "You know what? I hadn't seen her for years and years and years." And she said, "Oh, I still have a cassette tape of yours." And that just cracked me up because it was such a throwback. The world is so different now than it was then. It makes me seem very old, but I've had to keep up with the times, and I've had to keep, I have my programs are now on apps, which makes me feel very. My daughter was like, "Wow, Mom, you've got an app and a podcast." I was like, "Yeah, your mom's cool." Anyway, the history of hypnosis. So hypnosis has been around for, since the beginning of time, the beginning of mankind. I would believe that we have been putting each other in trance states for thousands of years. Either, like prayer is trance. The mantra of prayer can be very hypnotic. We've had medicine men and, putting people into relaxed states and doing incantations. I mean, that's not like the clinical hypnosis that we do nowadays, but, the idea of hypnosis and helping people's minds make changes has been around for a long time. And since the 1950s, it has been approved, hypnosis has been approved by the American Medical Association. So it's kind of come into its own and been accepted as a modality that has function in the healing arts. And hypnosis is used by doctors. If you've ever gone on YouTube, there are some videos of doctors using hypnosis to actually do surgery. This one doctor puts this guy into a trance state and literally operates without anesthesia. Dentists as well do that, or, they help their patients who, are afraid of needles or don't want to go under a heavy anesthetic, or athletes definitely use hypnosis, or sports hypnosis is a very big thing to focus on bettering your game, overcoming performance anxiety, getting in that winning mindset. Teams have used hypnosis. Therapists obviously use hypnosis a lot. Police departments use hypnosis for people to retrieve memory, after a traumatic event, so that they can give them more details. Top performers. I've worked with a lot of, top performers, rock stars, actors, people who want to perform better or do have like stage, maybe they have I've worked with people who have had surgeries or something where they then need to go on tour and they needed to overcome their fear of performing after their surgery, things like that. Hypnosis is really great for. Now, me, as a clinical hypnotherapist, my practice has been primarily weight management and smoking cessation. Those are things that I'm very good at. I know them, inside and out because I chose to specialize because those are the two things that are very near and dear to my own heart because I stopped smoking with hypnosis. And then I also used hypnosis as a way to manage, to lose 40 pounds and manage my own weight throughout the years. So, those are my, that's my world. Those peeps are my peeps. And I've walked those walks. So I feel not only, that I can, help people along those journeys because I've been there, but I also love those people. I really deeply empathize because I have walked every step of the struggle of smoking and not believing I could stop and struggling with my weight and for years and years and years and hating myself, hating my body, feeling like I was never going to not be obsessed by food and, controlled by food and my relationship and my habits and my beliefs, all of that horrible, awful place that I was in, and hypnosis. Wow. Just helped unlock my mind and helped me get a huge shift in a different perspective of myself, my relationship with food and exercise, and helped me become a non-smoker in one session. Now, unlike smoking cessation, where you don't need to ever, smoke another cigarette in order to live, we need to, hypnosis for weight management it's a little different. It's a little more, I see it as a more holistic approach. It's part of a more holistic approach because obviously we need to continue to have a relationship with food. We need to exercise. Our world is set up to make us fat, basically, if you haven't looked around and seen that. We walk out the door and there are like 250 food decisions that we each have to make every single day. Our brains are bombarded by food, unlike smoking, which has been somewhat marginalized. It's not in our face so much as it used to be. So, yeah, the hypnosis part for weight management is a bit of a different journey than smoking cessation, but oh, so powerful and so amazing. And I will say I've been using self-hypnosis a lot too for just a transformation in my business. And as a mother, I've used self-hypnosis to overcome a lot of my shocks and like the transitions that, if you've been a mother or if you've been anybody who cares for anybody, even in my marriage, I've used hypnosis for my marriage. But primarily, I would say when I work with people, my love for my clients and my students and my depth of understanding is really in the areas of smoking cessation and weight management. So let's look at what hypnosis is and what it is not, and why why can it be so impactful for weight management? So what it is not, hypnosis is not sleep. I will repeat, hypnosis is not sleep. So I think when I first started my practice, people would call me and say, are you going to make me bark like a dog? Are you going to make me quack like a duck? I'm going to leave your office. Are you going to get me into that sleep and then tell me all these things and then make me go to my bank account and take lots of money out and give you lots of money? And, my response was, if I was that powerful, my husband would pick up his socks and I would have hypnotized him to, make me, well, he actually does make me a dinner every night. Maybe I have hypnotized him, but honestly, the socks are still on the floor. So, the bark like the dog, the quack like a duck. So that's stage hypnosis, and stage hypnotists are completely different breed in a way. They are entertainers and they really know how to put people's brains into like a sort of a trance state where you can do stuff with that, where, they can do some silly things. But, I've worked with stage hypnotists, they've told me, oh, well, I, really make sure I get the people who I know are going to perform, and they don't, if you've ever gone to a stage hypnosis show, you've probably seen that they, put people through a series of, if those people, hey, do we have any volunteers? The volunteers go up, they have them, raise your hand and touch your nose and do certain things. And they're really watching for the people that they think are going to perform the best. And they're getting rid of the people who they know are going to be resistant or not do what they say they're going to do. They basically want people who are going to make them look good. So they're very skilled at doing that. And then they get people who are what you would call somnamblistic, who go into trance state very quickly and easily. Not everybody does. Most people can be hypnotized. I think that's, something that I want to say is, like, I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm too type A, I'm too in control of things, and I can't be relaxed and put into hypnosis. But actually, I have found that type A personalities really do work well with hypnosis, because hypnosis is a state of control, and they relax pretty quickly once they know that they are okay and they are the ones in control. So hypnosis is not sleep. You are not put into the state where you are not aware. People, I think, are very surprised to know that you are very aware during the state of hypnosis. Your mind is in a relaxed state. It is in a state between what I would call asleep and awake, but you are not out. You are not unconscious. Sometimes people, if it's an audio recording, might go into a bit of a sleep state while they're listening to hypnosis, but their subconscious mind is still hearing everything that's being said to it. But it's not like you're going to see a practitioner and they're going to put you into this unconscious state and then be able to fill your brain with all these things that they want to. It really doesn't happen like that. So it isn't a state of unconsciousness either. And it certainly isn't a state of being gullible. I really do think that hypnosis offers you a great opportunity to be incredibly in control, because you're really using your mind and your imagination in a very powerful way. If you think about it, most of what happens in our lives is automatic pilot, right? Like it's happening, just by rote. We aren't creating, we're responding. And I find hypnosis is an incredibly creative state where you actually are using your brain in a way that it loves to be used, and you are really the creator. You are not being controlled by somebody else. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I give suggestions, but you are accepting the suggestions. You have a lot more control in that part than you are probably aware of, or, some people are aware of. So hypnosis is not a loss of control. Like I was saying, those type A people are surprised how they love hypnosis, because they actually do. Once you've gone through it, you can feel very creative and very in control. So what hypnosis is it's an awake state. You are aware and you hear what is being said to you, but it is a state of relaxation, very deep relaxation. And it is a state where you are engaging your imagination. Our imagination exists in our subconscious mind. And so hypnosis really utilizes our imagination. It is exercise for your mind. You're literally stretching new neural pathways. You're creating, you're really bending your mind into different directions and creating new pathways that are going to take you into new habits, new beliefs, new ideas of yourself, reinforcing that. It is rapport with your unconscious mind that so imagine, this part of your brain that you really don't have a lot of access to in your conscious state, being able to have a more deep conversation. It's like sitting down, when you have a really deep conversation with a friend at a party, how enjoyable that is. It really is this opportunity to be with yourself on a deeper level in a very creative way. And it really ultimately is the ultimate display of control. So, how does hypnosis help with weight loss? So, I'd like to break this down a bit and just talk about how the mind is set up and designed and why it is typically weight loss resistant, right? Like, so why do we struggle so much with our weight? And again, if you've heard me speak or been a student of mine, some of what I'm going to tell you will be familiar to you, but this is always helpful to be reminded about, that what a lot of your struggle with weight isn't the fact that there's something wrong with you. There isn't anything wrong with your body, why you've been weight release resistant. Often is, why you do things like you know what to do. You know how to lose weight. You probably are an expert at weight loss in many ways. You could probably come on this podcast and teach weight loss. I have no doubt in your ability to lose weight, but the problem is we have this subconscious mind, so consciously you know what to do. And hold on a second. Okay, I'm making sure I'm still being recorded. But that's only, our conscious mind is only 12%, and the other 88% of our mind, a huge part of our mind is our subconscious mind. And in our subconscious mind is our identity. And I have to say that any transformation, like, we go on diets all the time. Okay, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be good this week. But we really never come at it from the identity level, and any transformation really needs to begin with identity. In the shift weight mastery process, we start with identity. We really look at, when we struggle with weight, we really have a weight struggler identity. That's who we are. That's the world we live in. And we carry that identity around, and it's so heavy and it gets in the way of everything. You have a lot of other identities too, and a lot of them are incredibly cool and highly functioning and super beautiful and awesome. So it's not like this is the only identity you have, but it is certainly one identity if you've been struggling with your weight. And when we work at an identity level in hypnosis, we are really transforming you into seeing yourself differently, somebody who is on a journey of weight mastery, somebody who is a student, an apprentice, coming at this from a more powerful way. And you can make that transformation in an instant. Your brain loves to step into new identities. Think about when you learned to drive a car. You became a car driver. Your mind was like, "Ooh, cool! I'm driving a car." I wasn't that before. My son. Well, I'm saying this because my son is starting to drive, and I, as a mother, watching him go from this kid that I carted around. Or any of you who schlepped your kids all over the city from practice to practice and this and that. Now that he's driving, which is horrifying, but highly gratifying at the same time. I'm like, wow, he's going to be free. He's going to be able to drive himself. And so I'm seeing him through new eyes as a driver. So it's kind of, I'm seeing his identity from this different place. So yeah, identity is there in our subconscious mind. And then our beliefs, like, when we struggle with our weight, we have a lot of beliefs. I can't lose weight. I'm a carb addict. I hate to feel deprived. I've never lost weight, so I'm never going to lose weight. There's so many beliefs that just reinforce this weight struggle identity. And then there's habits like, there's habits that we do, like snacking in front of the TV at night. And there's habits that we don't do, like saying that we're going to get up and exercise in the morning, and then we don't, and we hit the snooze alarm. There's habits like drinking soda, or there's habits like not planning, when we say we're going to plan, or not setting ourselves up for success, or not drinking water. So we have in our subconscious, identity, beliefs, habits. We have our emotions, the the emotional part of the brain is in the subconscious mind, and also our the part that of our mind that just runs our automatic responses, our heart beating, our lungs breathing. I mean, our unconscious mind is amazing and vast and multifaceted. But when it's used to doing something in a particular way, it really it is really designed to keep things as they are because it's easier. If you think about it, everything that we do is pretty much on automatic pilot, and there's a reason for that. It's a lot easier for the brain. The brain's got a lot of stuff to do. And so as soon as the brain recognizes something as like, oh, this works for us, this brings us pleasure, or this is good, let's repeat that over again. And then let's repeat that over again. And pretty soon it is on automatic pilot. And so those habits, even if they aren't good for us, it's in there and the brain kind of thinks it works for us. And so that is why it becomes hard to change out of those old habits once they're established. So then what happens is we have this conscious mind and we have the subconscious mind. The conscious mind's like, I got to lose weight. I've got to, I have a health issue, or I've outgrown all of my clothes, or, I want to be healthy as a mom, or whatever our desire consciously. The subconscious mind is like pizza on Friday, wake up and eat whatever, try to be good, but, by the afternoon, we're going to have some snacks. And over the years, so like as we grow up, we are imprinted, right? Our parents teach us stuff, our teachers teach us stuff, we learn stuff from life, our friends, everybody, we're kind of imprinting for the first 20 years of our life. And then as we get into our 20s, we develop this critical filter. So like we're in, you think about those first 2 decades of our life, we're like overwhelmed and imprinting all of this information, and our minds are this, what they say, the mind is an open book when you're a child, right? But as we get into our 20s, we become that old dog that can't be taught new tricks. And the reason for that is we develop what is called the critical filter. And the critical filter is this filtering system that, again, is so amazing that our brain does this. But we have billions of bits of information heading out our brain every single second. Our brain needs some sort of filtration system so that our heads don't explode, that we don't get so overwhelmed by all the information. So, our mind is just taking in what makes sense for us and really leaving anything else that doesn't seem right or is, against our morals or our beliefs or our culture, right? So, and with that is, food tastes good when I feel bad. Don't tell me not, to eat healthy. I mean, we are filtering out a lot of that information, and we collect evidence to reinforce the fact that we can't be successful. So in order for hypnosis to work, the conscious mind needs to be on board with any change that is being made. And I think that's one thing that people aren't really aware of when they're afraid that, hypnosis is going to be like brainwashing. In order, like when people call me, or when people want to quit smoking, for instance, I will get people calling for their loved one saying, my dad needs to quit smoking. And I'm like, well, okay, great. Does he want to quit? And they're like, no, he doesn't want to quit. But doesn't hypnosis, you're going to just make him want to quit? And I was like, no, sorry, it doesn't work like that. Your dad kind of needs to want to stop for himself in order for that hypnosis to be successful for him. So I can talk to him. We can, I can coach him, and I'm very good at helping people get their, rid of the fear so that he can be ready to stop. But hypnosis is not going to make it. Your conscious mind needs to want the change in order for it to happen. And a lot of times, I think that we want to lose weight, but that sometimes I don't know that we're always ready. Really weight management and it's a journey. It is really a commitment and a journey to yourself. Like, it really isn't just about like, I want to lose 5 pounds and get into that, those pants I can't fit into anymore. Let me pull it together. It's really like, I am changing my relationship with the way I communicate with myself. I am really here to transform my life and show up for myself differently. I mean, it's really a love story. When you think about like really all the components of a true, really taking weight off and keeping it off permanently. I think about my clients, my students who are on these journeys, and they're committed. They're in this not just like, oh, well, let me do this thing and get off the weight fast. It's like, I am embarking upon a transformational journey, and I am doing this not just about weight, but to be free, to get out of that place of pain, to feel that confidence and that freedom that comes with truly taking care of yourself from a different place, right? And like, that's why I call it like a love story with yourself, or loving yourself down the scale. And hypnosis can help because it can help start to shift your identity, shift your beliefs, and shift your habits when you start to listen to sessions. And like I said, when somebody goes through the shift weight mastery process, we have many different hypnosis sessions. So it's not just like one, it's slam bam, thank you, ma'am. But it's, like we work on identity, and we work on the beliefs, like the belief that you can be successful, the belief that you can show up for yourself, the belief that, that plate of food, that, healthy plate of food is something that you desire and that it's enough for you. The belief that your body can release weight, that you can enjoy exercise, you can enjoy eating those healthy foods. And also, different sessions that are working on specifically like breaking through old habits and creating new ones. And like I said, hypnosis can be very creative because we are using your imagination, creating new neural networks. And here's the idea is like, it's not about taking away, but it's about creating something new and reinforcing the new. So for new habits to take place, what we're doing is creating a new habit and repeating it over and over and over, and the old neural networks fade. So it is like I said, it's really about creating, and it's creating this whole new space in your brain for this transformation that you are creating. It's not just like, I don't want to drink soda, I don't want to eat hamburgers. It's really coming at it from a much more holistic place. And some things happen right away, and some things take more time to stick. And that's why, for instance, the Shift Weight Mastery process is a 30-day process. And every day, it's not just hypnosis, but it's coaching as well, like I said, to prepare the conscious mind to take it on, to be open and totally accepting, so that the hypnosis can really take effect. Excuse me, I'm making noise here with my notes that I wrote down to communicate with you all of this stuff. So now I want to teach you 3 ways that you can use self-hypnosis to shift from struggler to learner. And one of these podcasts, it's not going to be this one because this will take a little while, but I want to teach you how to do, write a self-hypnosis for yourself, so that you can do it for really specific things. Like, that's what I do with myself in the morning. I listen to self-hypnosis sessions that I've made for myself on just very specific things, like my son driving. You can do it too. It's not that hard, and it's super cool to do. So if I don't, I promise to do it by the new year, because I've got a lot coming up. But I'll make a note to do that in the new year, because that's a really nifty thing to be able to do. So these are 3 self-hypnosis techniques that you can utilize right now to start to make changes and start to lose weight. So let's talk about identity. Like I said, and have been talking about, is we see ourselves as a struggler, and we want to start to see ourselves as a learner. So this is something that you can start to do right away. And, what you can do is just when you are thinking about yourself, in those moments when you're quiet and relaxed, you start to think of yourself as a weight mastery learner. And so hypnosis doesn't always happen in like I said, in this like state where you're laying down and your eyes are closed. We can use self-hypnosis in our waking state. Like when you're driving in your car, you're in a trance state, but you're thinking about stuff. So why not think about like that you're not a victim of your circumstances. Because what happens is when we see ourselves as a struggler, we become a victim of things. We become a victim of the people in our lives, and we become a victim of our circumstances. And instead, we want to start to be not a victim, not critical of ourselves, because we are often very, very critical of ourselves, and we become a victim of our inner critic. But we want to start to be curious. And when we start to be curious about ourselves and our behaviors, and we start to see ourselves as like, I'm a learner, and learners are curious, and I just did that behavior. What did I learn? Like, what did I learn from that? That behavior wasn't bad. I learned something from that behavior. What did I learn? Because the more you get conscious to what you're doing, and the more you get curious, like, oh, I'm doing that over and over again. Why am I walking into the kitchen and opening the cupboard and grabbing the crackers and opening them and eating them almost mindlessly? Now, the weight struggler self would be like, oh, I'm this overeater, and I'm a snacker, and I can't stop myself, and I'm just, we have these attitudes and beliefs about ourselves. So by opening it up and getting curious and conscious and starting to ask, like, well, what did I just learn about the cracker situation? Like, what can I do differently? Can I maybe not come into the kitchen when I get home? Because it seems like what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the crackers and I'm chewing on them, and maybe I'm trying to, decompress from being out on the road or driving around, and maybe I can do something differently. What could I do differently? Could I come in and lay down on the couch and close my eyes and just give myself 5 minutes to relax? And then I can come in the kitchen and get a glass of water. So when you start to look at like, I'm a learner, I'm going to learn from the situation, I'm going to come up with new answers, you start to re-identify, you start to see yourself as a student rather than a struggler. And that begins to change how your brain relates to you and how you see yourself in this area of weight mastery. It's kind of cool. So the second way you can start to do some self-hypnosis is you can start to change your beliefs about yourself. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to do what you say you're going to do. And I know that sounds super simple, but it's kind of hard to do sometimes. To do what you say you are going to do. Because why? What happens in our brain when we do that? When we see ourselves, because we're always observing ourselves. When we see ourselves say, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go walking this morning, and we don't do that, it reinforces a belief about ourselves, right? It's like, oh yeah, I don't do what I'm saying I'm going to do. I'm kind of this person that doesn't follow through. I'm kind of this person that doesn't like to exercise. We can make up a lot of stories, and our stories create, our self-stories create our self-idea of ourselves. And so, again, our brains, our imagination is in our subconscious mind, and we want to start imagining a new self, right? We want to start to imagining this new person who, it's not new person, but this new concept of ourselves. And one of the things we can do is do what we say we're going to do, because when we do that, we say, oh, yeah, I'm a person who does what I say I'm going to do. And it builds our confidence, and it connects us to ourself. And again, you think, well, Is that hypnosis? It is, because you're using your mind in a different way. You're using it in a relaxed state to formulate new ideas and shift beliefs on a deeper level. So practice, and here's the hypnosis, the self-hypnosis part of it. In order to follow through and do something that you said you're going to do, what is going to help you to do this is to practice it first in your mind, right? Like ahead of time. So the self-hypnosis part is to say, okay, I want to wake up tomorrow morning and go for a walk. Then in the evening, like as I'm going to bed, I will imagine myself, okay, I'm getting my, my clothes out. I'm setting the thing, and then I'm going to imagine it like 3 or 4 times in my mind. I'm going to get up, my alarm's going to go off. I'm going to see myself, pushing the alarm to stop it, but getting up, putting my feet on the floor, feeling what that would feel like, feeling what it would feel like to get in the exercise clothes, feeling like it would go outside and to feel the cool air on my face, to feel going out for a walk and my heart pumping, my lungs breathing the fresh morning air, and how lovely it would be, and to hear the birds chirping, and doing all of that stuff, practicing it in my mind very specifically, because I'm engaging my imagination, and I'm engaging that part of my brain that is like, oh, that's cool. Let's do that. Let's make that happen. So, but I'm going to do it a number of times. And this is what athletes do before they go out and compete, is they practice it in their mind, and they're stretching. It's like you're stretching this new little road in your mind that you're now going to walk on the next day, but you're kind of preparing the road ahead of time. Okay. So, even for eating less, right? Imagine yourself sitting down, close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting down, taking a breath, and imagine saying, okay, well, here's this, imagining this meal in front of me, and I see myself eating it slowly, chewing the bites. Okay, and it's a small portion, but I'm chewing it slowly, and I'm finishing it, and I'm feeling satisfied, and okay, and I'm eating that, and I'm leaving a little food on the plate, and I feel satisfied. I feel good. Like I'm imagining it first before I do it. If we just sit and eat, we're going to eat the same way we've always eaten it. So in order to start to change your beliefs about yourself and change your habits, practicing in your mind ahead of time any change that you want to make it's a really great form of self-hypnosis. So here's a fun one. This is the last one, is an aversion technique, where there's a couple of aversion techniques for, managing trigger foods. And trigger foods are those foods that if you eat one, you eat a lot of them. So like French fries or pizza, or, the highly palatable foods that, are just so easy to consume. So imagine one self-hypnosis technique is to imagine your trigger food that you want to kind of not want to eat. Imagine that it's on a plate and it's covered with human hair, just covered with strands of human hair. And if you want to gross yourself out, really imagine biting into it with human hair. Ugh, disgusting, right? So that really is repellent for a lot of people. Another technique you could use, another aversion technique, is to imagine that food, put it in a cup of water and imagine or a bowl of water and imagine what it would look like or taste like a day later. So just imagine that lovely piece of pizza, and then you submerge it in water, and imagine that cheese getting all congealed, and how cheese gets when it's in water in the sink, and imagine that pizza crust that at once looked so tempting, it gets all bloated and floaty, and how when you put the wheat and all the stuff in the pizza, gets just, what's the word to describe that? Just gross and spongy and just disgusting. So just imagine that a day later and going, that doesn't look so good or taste so good, right? Like, so if you have a thought about food, like if you've been obsessing, like craving a food, and then just imagine that food in that water, or imagine that food covered with human hair, it can give your brain a little break from that, the dopamine center, the reward center going, I want it, to go, maybe I don't want that. So that is another just like fun aversion technique. Okay, so I hope that this has been a helpful chat. I hope that you feel a little more educated in the world of hypnosis and the world of hypnosis for weight release. And if you've never tried hypnosis, like I said, check out my free hypnosis session, Curb Your Sugar Cravings. The link is in the show notes below. And I'm so excited that coming up in the next few months, I am unveiling in the autumn of 2021 my new improved self-study version of the Shift Weight Mastery process. All the lessons, hypnosis, and meditations are organized on a wonderful learning platform that can also be accessed through an app. So that's all coming up, soon, but more to come. So that is it, everyone. If you have suggestions for me with, I know I mentioned I'm going to teach you how to do self-hypnosis, but if you have, like, Rita, I want to learn this, or I want to know more about this, let me know. Rita at shiftweightmastery.com is where you want to send me a little line. And have an amazing week. And remember that the key, and probably the only key to unlocking that door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. Have an amazing week, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. You want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release? Head on over to www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you'll find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss.